welcome everyone to the 2020 USA Taekwondo Online Grand Slam. We are here with episode 1 and we're kicking it off with the cadet preliminary round. We'll be here all week with you. I am Miyako Yerick and I'm over here on the East Coast and I'm kicking it over to Coach Brand.
Hi Miyako, it's so exciting to be with you tonight. I've been waiting a long time for this first episode. It's been a bit of time since we had the senior action, and I've just been waiting along with everybody in America and abroad. Just so excited, almost on the edge of my seat already for this round to get started. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Up first in the female cadet black belt division, we have our referees on the screen to show you just how dedicated they are. We want to make sure that we give them some recognition as we go for sure, right, Miyako?
Absolutely. You know, these are long divisions and they're putting in the time here as well. They're also honing their craft. So great to see them continuing their training and then here judging all of our wonderful athletes in this very first division of the cadet black belt females.
Right. Up first, we have Jacqueline Tate from Oregon. She trains with Happy Valley Family Martial Arts and her coach is Minky Song. She did a great job on those first two side kicks there. Good height on them. So she's got to feel good about that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we're starting off, they're going to do two forms. They're going to do number 4 and number 8, Sajong and Paljong.
So Jacqueline starts off with a score of 6.67. As you saw on the screen when we started, we have five officials scoring the Poomsae. The high and the low gets tossed out, and then we go with the remaining 3 scores.
She did a pretty good job there of keeping those punches coming to the center line on Paljong. We talked about that a lot in the earlier Grand Slam and in the summer of Poomsae. So nice to see, I think, athletes watching those videos, picking up some tips on how to compete on video.
Nice and steady on this line to the rear. Really trying to pop up on those. Now that second front kick, I think that second front kick looked better than the first. So really good height on that right front kick. Good, and a good start for this division with Jacqueline Tate, again from Happy Valley Family Martial Arts in Oregon.
That's
so,
right.
Miyako, how many competitors do we have in this division tonight?
I was just going to say we have 62 in this division.
Awesome. 62, that's great. So Jacqueline comes out with a score of 6.8. So I know all of you at home are probably taking notes too as we go to play along with us and see how it works out. So she ended up with a score of 6.73. So up next we have Eva Hoffman from Alabama. She trains with Jung in Taekwondo under Master Sengak Jung.
And because we have 62 athletes here in this prelim round, what we do is take the top half. So we'll take the top 31 scores into the semifinals.
Well, look at Eva. She really has a quick pace. She just zipped along right through Tate Sajong. Some athletes really enjoy that kind of quicker pace, and she didn't have any balance issues as she was doing that. She gets a score of 6.33. Sometimes that faster pace can hurt you, right? If you don't finish each of the techniques. So she just needs to be a little bit careful with that.
That's right. I think sometimes it can be hard to catch all of the motions on video. So maybe a slower tempo or more pauses at the end of the motions can help kind of make your form look really clear. But she's doing a good job working through the form, very comfortable with Paljong as well as Sajong. A nice high front kick.
Yeah, she seems very confident as she's rolling through this. No gaps, no hesitation. Little balance bump there. Yeah, a little balance bump there on the backside of that jump front leg kick combination.
And a couple cat stances could be a little bit shorter in that middle front kick area. So she might take a couple minor deductions there, but overall, very comfortable, confident form. And it does go down just a little bit to a 6.07 on the second form.
She ends up with a score of 6.2.
준비.
This is Isabel Zorovski from Colorado.
Si작.
She trains at U.S. Taekwondo Center in Briargate under Coach Hojun Park. We've seen this setting quite a bit, right, Miyako? A lot of athletes coming out of this club.
That's right. And they have a lot of different locations as well. But wow, she is so flexible. The side kicks went straight up, front kicks go straight up.
Yeah, good blocking power. She loves that middle block. She had a lot of snap on that. So here's her score, 6.87. Nice big score to start off.
That's right. Highest score so far for Sajong.
시작.
This is an 8 count, should be an 8 count. So we all should be able to count along with her as she's doing this technique right here. That might be a little bit short of 8.
Wow.
Really good speed and height on those front kicks.
Yeah, on some of the bigger transitions, she has a double pivot. So that one was good. Some of the other ones, especially after that 8 count when you turn 270 to face the front, just watch that there's not 2 motions on your pivoting foot because we'll get an extra deduction there. But overall, I think that Isabel did a really good job. She had a nice high score on the first one of a 6.87.
Yeah, just a little minor thing too on her belt length. She has a pretty long belt there. It looked like maybe at around her knees or so, maybe bring that up a little bit. I think that a lot of people get their belts a little bit big so they can grow into them, right? But sometimes it's good for competition's sake to make sure it's fitting, you know, a little bit shorter than that for sure. This is Danica Vargason from Elemental Taekwondo in Idaho, coaching under Coach Brett Starks.
So this is the cadet division, which means all of these young ladies are 12 to 14 years old. So you get a 3-year age range here in this cadet division before they age up into the junior females, who we will see tomorrow for the prelims.
So her first score, 5.7 for Danica Vargason. So I think for Danica, she's really trying to be accurate. I can really see it in her face. She's intent and focused. Some of the issues for her score being what it is just the accuracy in the stances. I think maybe working with a coach to get those kind of sized up just right and learning where to finish those hand techniques. For example, this one is ending just a little low, so a little bit of extra work. Great concentration, great focus as she's going through it. See what I mean, Miyako? Like she's starting it right, correctly, and then it's just the end point that she needs to focus on.
Yeah, some of those middle blocks lower than belt level just needs to be about solar plexus. The elbow there should be at philtrum height, so at nose height on the first one. So yeah, so some things a little bit off on the finishing placement, but a lot of really good work and good intensity. So we just have to kind of shift it over to the current style, and that accuracy will go right up.
Right, she clearly knows where to go, what to do when she gets there. It's just the finishing position. So 5.13 for the second form, finishing with a 5.417.
준비.
This is Anjali Dat from California. She trains at Gold Medal Martial Arts under Coach Michelle Kalua.
Our first athlete so far for this division in a mask.
Right. So good for her for staying super safe as she's training and competing. I'm sure we'll see lots of athletes with masks on during this competition.
That's right. And, you know, in the summer of Poomsae, we saw some athletes able to compete outside, but now it's getting colder in some areas of the country. So maybe they can't go outside. Maybe they're in their homes. But nice to see everybody still able to compete. And she gets a 6.07 on her first form.
So Anjali's on the West Coast, and it is freezing out here. Geez, it's gotten as cold as during the daytime, it's like maybe 65.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, yeah, almost frigid. We're wearing layer upon layer out here. I don't know, how is it on the East Coast, Miyako?
Yeah, you know, daytime we're reaching like high 50s, I think. But so far no snow. I like snow. I hope it snows soon.
Maybe just in time for Christmas.
Exactly. So I think Anjali has a little bit of a bounce in some of her moves. If she tries to sink just a little lower in her stances, makes them longer, and then stays nice and grounded and low throughout the whole form will help her look a little bit stronger.
Right. I think it's pretty common here for many athletes just having to lengthen their stances, extend it out, take a chance. Sometimes it feels like you might go off balance by doing that, but in the long run, you're going to feel more settled. Center of gravity is going to be exactly where you need it to be. So she finishes up with a 6.017. Up next, we have Haley Han from Connecticut. She trains at World Champion Taekwondo under Master Gunsu Kim and Henry Kim.
So we're seeing dojongs now adding even more air tracks, mats to cover up the background.
Yeah. Those are some big air tracks. So they have quite an investment into their freestyle athletes. Those are really big and really nice. So if you're at that club, good for you. Congratulations. You have some nice training space, and they double as walls.
It looks so great. It just makes it so easy to focus on her form, which was great.
Yes, very good. Look at that score, 7.37.
A huge jump up there for
her. She was great. And I'm sorry, I was like distracted by the cool surroundings. If we look on the left-hand side of the screen, we see those pads along the wall. So I think in the past they had we saw the background as that padded wall in past events.
And this is a nice long front stance. That looks great.
Right. Yeah. And that blue background, gives it a nice contrast for her. So we can really appreciate it. This one, maybe a little bit longer would be good.
A little more rotation in the hips, but she's doing a really good job.
Wow, really great front kicks out of these Poomsae. And that foot clearly over her head on the two front kicks to the rear. Real strong.
She competes in individual pair and team at US Open this year. She placed in both pairs and team. So I think it's nice to see her. Sometimes it's hard to do pairs and team right now, but individual is a great option. And she just opened up here with her biggest score for the first form. And here's another big one.
Look, so she got that 7.37, cleared a huge lead. Big gap for her. And so she finishes up with a 7.333. So here's our standing so far. We have Haley Han, who just went first place, followed by Isabel Zorovski, Jacqueline Tate, Eva Hoffman, Anjali Dat, and Danica vargason. Up next, we have Kaylee Jung from California. She's from King's Combat Sports, coached by Master Luis Reyes. He was actually on the team back in the day. And I can see that influence there. So really good job so far from Kaylee. Maybe a little bit deeper and lower on these back stances would help her. And on that last front stance, maybe a little bit more length.
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, we talked about this, I remember, in some of the senior divisions, but sometimes the pants are just baggy and they're quite wide, and it's hard to appreciate how low you might be in that stance. So either sinking a little lower or getting a more tapered leg pant, but Kaylee, a nice big score of 7.27.
Yeah, second place so far in the division for that form. Good start here. And her coach, Louis Ray, is one of the first athletes that was on the U.S. team both for sparring and then for Poomsae as well. So real unique athletic talent there. It's nice to see his athletes coming out. We haven't seen a lot of the King's athletes so far in the Summer Poomsae or NCTA, so it's nice to see him here.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen this dojang before either, but I'm seeing some weights out there on the side. So probably getting some good rounded training, maybe sparring as well as Poomsae. And like I said, Kaylee looking very clean. Good finish.
Yeah, just say in general, those stances, make it easy for the reps, make it easy for us as the viewers, make them a little bit longer so that's not going to bite you at all when the score comes around. So that there again, 7.0. So into second place for Kaylee Jung. So following that 7.27 for the first Poomsae, she gets a total score of 7.133.
To me.
This is a Calista de Guzman from Apex Tigers Martial Arts.
Shut.
She's originally from Delaware and she trains with Master Giduk Gun.
She has some nice high kicks, good control on the retraction. Front stance a little bit thin there. The last one, not quite a space, but overall, I felt very comfortable watching that. I enjoyed it. It wasn't stressful or, tense or anything. And look at that score.
Yeah, 7.53. Wow, that is a huge score in this division. Of course, we have quite a few athletes. Did you say 62 athletes in this round, Miyako?
62.
That is a lot of Poomsae action.
But I do think that by watching all of these episodes with you, Coach Brand, I feel like I'm really digging into the Poomsae and seeing a lot more than what I normally would, and it's helped me in my training. So I do encourage everybody to watch the whole division, watch other divisions, and pick up some tips and tricks to help you with your Poomsae.
Right, we've certainly heard that from a lot of the coaches and athletes across the country. So happy to have this resource handy for them. We've never been able to have so many Poomsae available to us on video that we can watch and re-watch. It's really fantastic that we have this chance now. We can see this front stance here on either side a little bit short, and this, I think, in this division has a lot to do with their growth pattern. When they grow a lot, they don't necessarily always adjust their stances as they're doing that, right, Miyako? So it makes it look shorter.
Yeah, and you can tell her pants were a little bit short too, so she must have just had a little growth spurt, and she gets a 7.43 on the second form. So again, highest score so far. That puts her into first place with the 7.483.
So this is Cameron Ogawa from California. She trains at Elite Taekwondo Center under Kwangil Bay. So I know, Miyako, you always look at the posture on those two side kicks to see if the athletes are completely aligned or if their body's kind of falling forward so that it looks more like a V shape or a C shape, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Especially on this form when those side kicks are coming right at the camera, we basically don't want to see your head. We just want to see the side of your side kick coming up right in line with your body. So if we see your head peeking out, you're piking just a little bit. But Cameron did a good job. I think could improve the height just a little, but a 6.7 is a solid score here so far.
시작.
Not quite centered there on those punches
Right.
coming forward.
You know, and unfortunately, it's right there facing the camera. So we all see those punches coming forward, and then if they're off to the right or the left, it's really obvious.
And unfortunately, in person, only one judge of the 5 would get that view. But because all the judges are watching this one angle, all 5 will see that.
Right. Everybody, including all of our viewers, have the center judge perspective here. So we can see all those little items that normally just a center referee gets to look at.
But I really like her hand techniques. The finish is very clean,
Bro.
both hands finishing at the same time. And so it just stops the motion and it looks really nice. So I think hand techniques are the highlight for me for Cameron.
Definitely. So that's Cameron Ogawa. She received a 6.7 for her first Poomsae Take-Up 4, and now receives a little bit higher here, 6.73. So she's in good shape in the standings here. She finishes with a 6.717. Up next, we have Clarissa Eckberg from Missouri. Oh, we haven't seen a lot of athletes from Missouri, so this is really nice. She's from Pak's Academy Prime Taekwondo and is coached by Master Kyo Wong.
Those are some great posters up there on the back wall.
They sure are. Boy, really give an impression of strength, confidence, and she's doing a really good job doing the same. She's got a couple little issues pivoting on her heels as she's going in fairly shallow stances. So I'm really interested in seeing how this will play out. Her presentation, her confidence level is really nice. She gets a 6.13, so those little boo-boos tend to add up.
Yeah, that's right. So we need just, about 5 minor deductions. If she didn't get those, that accuracy would be at a 3. And that's very close to contention to making it into semis. So I think we just have to clean up, 5 little things to help bump up that accuracy will do a lot to help Clarissa score.
Yeah, she reminds me a little bit of like Eva Hoffman and Danica Vargason. Like they know exactly, all the directions, all the specific movements of the Poomsae. But now it's a matter of just, some cleaning up, really working on the accuracy. The best way to do that is from the ground up. Really work on those stances and then build from there.
That's right. Delaying the pivots so that they happen at the end of the move so we don't get double motion, hands and feet finishing at the same time. So just a few things to work through, but I think Clarissa did a good job. I'm so glad to have you here, Clarissa, here in this Grand Slam tournament.
Well, I think the first thing, like for Clarissa, would be, this would be so impactful. She gets a 6.03 and for a total score 6.083. I think a big thing for her would be learning how to pivot on the balls of her feet. That would be so awesome. Like just for start, just enjoy that for a few months. Go, oh, that's how we do it. Okay, up next, we have Naya Lovis from Illinois. She trains at Flying V Martial Arts under Master Vincent Villena, who had quite a few athletes in our Summer of Poomsae event and also our Grand Slam for the seniors.
That's right. This looks like a different angle to the dojang, but I remember the colors. And it looks like Naya here is feeling very confident with this form, standing up nice and tall, pretty good posture.
Right. I like some of the changes they've made to the dojang too. Like there's a lot less distraction there. They've taken a lot of the things away. And so now we can really focus on the athletes. So good job on doing that, because I know it's not always easy to clear dojang space. She receives a 6.47 for the first Poomsae.
So we're taking the top 31 athletes into the semis, and we won't really know what that score cutoff is going to be. But we do go in reverse order of ranking points. So as we get to the second half of the division or so, we start getting into our ranked athletes. The number 1 seeded athlete will go last. But just because somebody isn't ranked so far doesn't mean that they're not awesome, right? We had Haley with the 7.33 who went 6th,
right,
and she was great. So it really just helps to start coming out, start getting those points. And Naya here is the 11th out of 62, and she had a good score on the first one. She again looks confident here and great posture. Elbows came out just a little there on that jump. But nice long step from the back stance to front stance.
Nice finish. That was Naya Lovis from Flying V Martial Arts.
Cadet.
So her second Poomsae, she gets a score of 6.73, a nice bump from her first one, which was a 6.47. So that's going to put her in really good shape here. And we'll see the standings like I think about every 6 athletes or so, or every 12 athletes. What is it going to be today, Miyako?
I think it is every 6.
Great. Okay, so this is Taeyeon Kim from Florida. She trains at American Tiger Martial Arts. And her coach is Kathy Doe, current 2020 U.S. National Poomsae team member. Nice high kicks. So this is a tatami mat they're on, so it has a little bit more give in it, so a little bit harder in some specific situations, especially when you're kicking. The one foot kind of pushes into the mat a little bit further and can kind of toss you off balance every now and then. Or let's say when an athlete's doing kungang, standing on that one foot for a period of time might be a little difficult. She starts off nice and strong with a score of 7.07.
That's right, but it might not be too bad if they're used to it. So if they're training in this space all the time, then they kind of know how to work with it as much as can be done, which is at least better than showing up to a tournament with the mats. You don't always know. Sometimes they're really slick if they're brand new. Sometimes they're old and sticky. So kind of just depends. And she's doing a good job working in this space.
Good. Like many of our other athletes, a little short on some of these stances. I think sometimes people are just trying to be safe and not make mistakes. So they don't want to wander out too far and explore a little longer stance.
And I noticed that training at home in my limited space, I shrink everything. And so when I got to the dojang, it wasn't on purpose. It just, I think when you have less space, you shorten things up. So do be aware of it, but everybody seems to be doing it. And so it's not too big of a deal.
Definitely. With all these Zoom classes and people limited space in their living rooms, between their couch and their coffee table, sometimes hard to reach out. She gets a 7.05. And here's her standings. This is the Cadet Female Preliminary Round with Calista de Guzman in first, followed by Haley Han, Kaylee Jung, Taeyeon Kim, Isabel Zorovski, Jacqueline Tate, Cameron Ogawa, and Naya Lovis. So this preliminary round, again, like Miyako said, we're taking the top half. So it could happen that all of these athletes on the standings might make it into the semifinal round. We just don't know yet. We have to watch and see. So up next we have Lisa Testville from Florida. She's from American Tigers Martial Arts and trained also by Kathy Doe. Really nice long legs. Oh, that kick looked great. Nice high front kicks for Lisa Testville. So she receives a score of 6.77. And now off to David Paul jump. Wow, her kick's going way over her head. That looks fantastic. But then followed by a punch a little off target. And a little extra movement there with that foot that should have been stationary, and that movement from side to side. Just a little detail work, but boy, that front kick looks great. Okay, so she has such talent on that front kick. Maybe just a little bit more attention to the vertical posture on the front kicks that happen from the Poomsae, that tighter stance that happens in the middle of the Poomsae. That will go a long way because her length is really helping her performance. We just need to highlight that a little bit more. So she received a score of 6.67, just under the teammate that went before her. So her total score coming in at 6.717. And up next, we have Bernice So from Champions Taekwondo in New York. Nice rhythm. So I'm really watching her rhythm. Looks different than a lot of the other athletes. She has a kind of a musical kind of pace that she's using. But at the same time, it also includes a little bit of bouncing up and down that she could eliminate. That was a really pretty Poomsae, 7.27. So nice reward. She didn't rush anything. Everything is smooth.
Jump.
Same thing here for the start, take a Paul jump. I think maybe a little bit longer stance here would help her. And then hopefully not bouncing to the other side where there's kind of an up and a downward movement with their head and her hips coming up and down, just nice and smooth. There, that was a good turn, nice and level.
Hello.
Well, good job to Bernice So. I haven't seen her before in
No.
competition online at the Summer of Poomsae, or at least I don't recall. Really like her tempo. Just smoothing out some of that up and down movement so it doesn't look like there's any bounce. She got a 7.13 to follow up on that 7.27 for Taeyeon Sajang. So she finishes up with a score of 7.2. So here's a setting we've seen quite a lot. This is World Champion Taekwondo Center in Fairfield, and this is Mueller Schmidt. So she's coached by Master Gi-Boom Jung and Gunsu Kim. Really reaching up on that side kick. Good job. Really grounded effort by Mueller. Really nice Poomsae there on Taeyeon 4. Looks like she's done it many, many times. I know the athletes had a lot of opportunity to do this for the recording, and for her it really paid off. She gets a 7.17. So athletes could have done these recordings over the course of a day, a week, or actually in this case, almost 2 weeks, I think, for these athletes that they had before they had to submit them. So lots of chances for them to get it just right and for them to be proud of that recording before they sent it in. Wow, nice height on her front kick. So she's going from nice grounded low stances. She's trying to reach out to get the length of those stances, and then right back to a nice tall position for the kicking techniques. Finishing strong here. I think the kicking techniques probably the highlight, and the area she probably wants to focus on is maybe a little bit more power on the hand technique. So maybe meeting up with her coaches, Master Gi-Boom Jung and Gunsu Kim, to come up with a strategy for that. So she receives a score of 7.2 for the second Poomsae, following that 7.17. She finishes with a 7.183.
Another interview here at the 2020 USA Taekwondo Poomsae Online. This is a Grand Slam event, very important event, lots of points toward that national team. And we're fortunate to have Jisu Park with us. So Jisu, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Look, these competitions are crazy because you guys now are not just competing out there on the mat, whether it be a national championship, a state championship, a Poomsae Grand Slam, but you're doing it from the comfort, or in this case, maybe not the comfort of your own home or dojang. So tell me, what are the challenges of trying to get out there and compete in this format compared to the format you guys are obviously accustomed to?
Well, since we get multiple shots at it, I sometimes overwork myself to get the perfect shot, so it's quite tiring, and yeah.
I did not think of that, honestly. I think you guys got to do it over and over to get it right, but you could literally overwork yourself because you want it to be perfect. Literally working with Sherman Nelson, we have to do the shot over and over again. I'm overworked working with my normal partner, so it's nice to have a professional partner like you, Jisu, over the guy that can't get it right. So thanks for being so good. He's gonna be so mad about that later. I love it. Okay, so when we're not competing, you've got tons of things to do. You're clearly in school. Any specific things you do in high school that the membership needs to know about?
Well, I'm in the drill team at my school, and I practice and play the violin out of school.
Yeah, they should know about this stuff. So, okay, so drill team. Let's get into that a little more. So what exactly is drill team? Per se?
Drill team is kind of like, it's different than cheerleading. It's more of like a dance type of team, and they play at football games, they compete, and there's a lot of things to do.
So you're performing in all kinds of venues then. You're performing Poomsae for USA Taekwondo, and then you're also performing at your school, at games and things like that. It's impressive for sure. And then you said you play the violin.
Thank you, sir.
We talked a little bit off air, and we talked about, I asked you, what is the toughest thing you played? And it's not tough enough, is it? You need tougher stuff.
Well, I mean, everything that she just suggests, my teacher suggests to play is quite challenging, but I don't have like a specific song or anything.
Okay, fair enough. So then when your teacher sees this, she's not going to be like, I need to give her harder stuff. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well, Jisu, good luck at the competition that you're going to be competing in. And I know it's a big competition, so I'm looking forward to seeing you compete. So now you're going to throw us out to you because you're coming up next. So let's hear it.
Well, I'm Jisu Park, and you're going to see me compete right now.
You heard it. Jisu Park coming up next. Chopping up with Jason and Jisu. Don't go anywhere. This is the 2020 USA Taekwondo Poomsae Grand Slam competition.
Up next, we have Jisu Park from Texas. She trains at Kim's USA Taekwondo and Team 4, where she is right now in the video. Good, she's off to a good start with that performance of Taeguk Saja. Looks like she's really focusing on her fundamentals there, her foundational work, and that pays off 7.5. So when you have a grounded approach like that, and you're able to be patient with yourself, you get that reward, that high score. So with that 7.5, that's going to put her in a really good position, at least so far. She's, I think, the 13th athlete to go so far. Well, maybe I'm off on that by 1 or 2, but about the 13th or so athlete. So we have quite a few more athletes to go because we have 62 in the division. looking really strong, and her base here looks really good and balanced. So she started off with that 7.5, put her in a really good position. I imagine it's going to hold steady here with this performance. It actually got stronger as she went in this Poomsae. So this is Jisu Park from Texas. So she receives a 7.4, just a little lower than that 7.5 for that first Poomsae. So her finish score is 7.45. Up next, we have Eve Mueller from New York, training at Champions Taekwondo, just like her teammate Bernice So. She's coached by Andrew O. She looks like she's really trying to go low on these stances and get grounded.
And she has great flexibility too.
Right, looks like she's actually going a little bit too low on some of the stances at the beginning of the form. She's trying to she got a little bit stronger as she went. Sometimes we go too low, it looks like things can start to collapse. And then our whole, foundation, our structure breaks down a little bit. So she gets a 6.87.
Shut.
See what I mean by that, Miyako? Just a little bit lower than her body really is dictating. I think just listen to your body a little bit more. See where you can get your hips to settle in.
Right, if you go too low, sometimes your knees will cave in and out as you go from stance to stance.
Yeah, off to a really good start. She's really trying to work on that power. I can see her really putting a lot of effort into that upper body. And so she just needs to clean up the bottom side of that, the stances, because as she's throwing that power, then the leg is losing its structure a little bit. It's bouncing a little bit or shaking. So that's where that 6.4 is coming from. So I think just a little work on the bottom side, the stance side, will really help her performance. She ends up with a 6.633.
Right, and a lot of times I think athletes don't realize at this age they have to really use their core and develop a strong core to help freeze all of that extra motion.
Well, yeah, you're really right. But the question is, do they know where their core is? Have they explored that with their, their guidance from their coach about how to really use that to their advantage? Because boy, that goes a long way. This is Kaylee Yoshida from California. She trains at Elite Taekwondo Center. And she has some really sharp movement.
Yeah, really clean, not as much power of some of the other athletes, but really great. I think we're going to see good accuracy here.
Man, look at that, 7.53. Real sharp, really nice length in her preparation to throw her hand techniques. She's got really good volume.
And like you mentioned, Kaylee is from California, but did you know, Coach Brand, that she speaks 3 languages, Chinese, Korean, and English?
Chinese, Korean, and English. Well, that's going to pay off. She does some travel with the Poomsae team, maybe makes a team and wants to travel the world. That's really going to come in handy. Maybe she can add a few more languages. We've gone all over the place, in World Championships and Pan Am Championships, right, Miyako? We've gone to Turkey and Uzbekistan and Mexico and Colombia, Russia.
I haven't gotten to go to all of those countries with you, Coach Brand, but definitely Spanish is a good one to pick up for the Pan American region.
Sure, for sure.
That was a really great performance. Kaylee just finished up. Really long stances, good arm motion. So I expect another high score here.
Look at that. You're right. 7.47. So many of the athletes dropping down a couple of percentage points there from Poomsae to Poomsae. She finishes up with a 7.5. And here's our standings so far in the Cadet Female Preliminary round. We're looking for the top half to move into the semifinal round. So since we have 62, we're looking for the top 31. So here's our first 12 so far, and I think we'll kick into another screen pretty soon to see the rest of the athletes as well. And there we go. So we had 18 athletes up so far. So nice big range of scores.
That's right. Yeah. So we're going to have quite an interesting split once we get some more athletes. So we can see what that cut to the semifinals is going to be, because it's all over the place right now.
Right. What a great name. Her name is Ahana. Ahana Mochandani from Texas. She's training with Eagles Taekwondo under Master Jung.
Looks like she must have flown to California or driven to California here to record, because this is the Eagle school out there on the West Coast.
Right. Or maybe she could have run. Her length in her legs. She probably could have gotten from Texas to California in maybe just a couple of hours.
And I remember her from the summer of Poomsae, I think. She's so tall and looks really great. Just really good control and power.
So look at that, 7.73.
That's a big score considering we're, a third of the way through this division.
Right. And she gets a little bit of a gap, right? For that performance too, with that 7.73.
Yeah, Kaylee, who went just before, had the high score of a 7.53 on that form. So this is a 0.2 higher here that Ahana has to take the lead. But we have 40 more athletes to go, so that jump is important.
Just 40 more to go. You know what? Right after Ahana's done, it might be a good idea to call to somebody in the kitchen and have them bring you a snack. You don't want to take your eyes off the screen, but I'm sure somebody wouldn't mind grabbing something for you real fast. So you'll feel, super happy with your eyeballs watching it and super happy with your belly nice and full.
This is really cool. Ahana says that she would love to have enough animals to open a zoo and an aquarium, and that she likes working on animation.
Oh, wow.
That's a really cool fun fact. Maybe next time let us know if you have any animals at home. I have my cat on my lap as I'm watching, so I hope you guys have your family and friends and pets with you to watch this Cadet Female Prelim Division, because it is exciting.
Oh, a little bit lower for the second one, 7.4, and that has been the fate of many of our athletes in this round, getting a lower score on that second Poomsae, but she finishes nice and high. The 7.567, not the gap she started with, but gap nonetheless. This is Olivia Saw, also from Connecticut, at World Champion Taekwondo in Fairfield, and she's coached by Donghyun Jung and Gunsu Kim. Nice reach on these side kicks. The first one was really nice. Second one almost as nice.
Right, I think maybe not quite as high kicks as some of the other athletes we've seen so far, but good control, good upper body posture, and good alignment.
Right, really good balance. And she receives a 6.97. That's a pretty good score so far.
It is. I think we have had 9 athletes so far, about 9, who've had a 7 or higher. So I think that's pretty good. That's about, half, more than half, not quite half. So if you're in the 7 so far, you're making the cut to the semifinals. But it's going to be close once we finish out with the rest of the athletes who are, again, going to be the ones who have those ranking points. And it might be, mid 7s. We'll have to see once we get more through the division. But Olivia, outside of Taekwondo, likes to sail and row, which seems like it's cold out there in Connecticut. But maybe they do it outside, so it's not too bad in the summertime. And she also has 4 dogs. That's a lot of dogs.
Wow, that's a lot of dogs.
Oh.
Especially when you're trying to train in the house. That must be just nuts. All of them underfoot. So she received a 6.97. And another 6.97 for Olivia Saw. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. Oh, pretty close, 6.967. So up next we have Danielle Cosson from California. She trains at Gold Medal Martial Arts with Michelle Kluag. And you know, I think this might be the first time we've seen gold medal represented in an online Poomsae tournament here at USAT. They've been a long time club in the Bay Area, in the Foster City area, San Mateo area of California. So it's really nice to see them join us. So welcome to all of you from Gold Medal.
I think Danielle did a good job. Her legs just look so long. Her belt on that waist is high, so she has a shorter torso, but nice long legs. So using that to get some good stances, but maybe just making sure that her volume on the top half of her body matches the bottom. She gets a 6.2 on the first form. A little bit of settling once she hits some of the stances. So once you land the stance, really try not to let anything move. This front knee here should stay deep bend the whole 8 count.
Yeah, a little pre-stepping on the turns, like her body wants to move, her feet want to move a little bit sooner than they should. A little bit of heel popping as she's turning.
Bit of a noticeable jump there to the left. A lot of athletes, you have to either be really, really careful as you're going through the form or kind of cheat less noticeably. I'm not sure how to say it, but you don't want to be doing a massive jump there to the left to hit that mark.
So she gets a 6.03, and I think it's probably fun for her and her family right now, for Danielle and her family to watch this event and then take a look at all the other athletes and then just steal everything they're doing, because you know nobody owns this stuff. You can steal all the techniques you can handle. This is Elizabeth Keel from Georgia, from Kim's K Taekwondo, coached by Sungjin Kim.
Nice reach on the first side kick. Second one a little bit cut short.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
So I think not pushing the height on the kicks so much, but really nice techniques on the hand on the upper body, really clean. And yeah, that comes out here. So a score of 6.87. The accuracy is not super high, it's a 3, but the presentation of a 3.8 is pretty good.
Yeah, it really was. So I think she can just really go to highlight those things that she's doing really well, which is she's really trying to keep her center of gravity nice and level as she goes through the Poomsae and kind of build on that foundational technique there. By the way, Miyako, I have to say all these athletes are really brave to put themselves out there on videotape. You know, to be thinking that as you're recording these, people will be watching them from all over the country. It used to be we'd walk into a tournament, you know, get graded, walk off the ring, and sometimes just a few people would have watched. But to think that, you know, all of America and beyond is watching them perform, they're super brave to put themselves out there.
Yeah, it's totally different. The live experience, there's tons of people there. And, you know, maybe not that many people are watching specifically you, because there could be 10 rings. But here, nobody's watching you record, and everybody's watching it live now.
Everyone, your grandmother, your your old friend from, back when we were in third grade. She gets a 6.9 for that second performance.
It's a nice jump up on the second form, which we don't see
She's
very
with a
often.
6.883. An athlete told me the other day her whole family watches from across the country, which is really wonderful that they're all doing that at the same time. Maybe not this event specifically, but they were referring to the past event, Summer of Poomsae and NCTA tournament that also athletes receive points for. Now, as far as points go, Miyako, while we have Mia Gloria performing, she trains in New York, and she's trained by Master Hyun-Suk Lee. While she's finishing up her performance, let's go over the point value here of this event.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that, right?
No.
So it's a 16.0 tournament, which means that the first place person gets 160 points. This is the biggest level tournament that we've had ranking points for, so it is a really big deal. And Mia here opens with a 7.23, so a nice score in the
That's
sevens.
a big score.
And, beyond just getting points, which is important, this counts as a major tournament. So whoever wins will have a major win in their pocket. But again, in this division, it's hard. There's 62 athletes. Just one person is going to win. But in the future, going to lots of these tournaments helps you get those ranking points. So you get points for being in the prelims, you get more points for being in the semis, and then all top 8 positions get an increasing number of points. So consistency, competing in multiple tournaments helps you. And as we get further through this list of athletes, we have people who have competed in one or multiple tournaments already, and that's why they get those higher seeded score places.
Right, and I think that so many of our athletes that we've seen so far, some athletes we have seen before, right, in past events, like Mia Gloria, for example, here on our screen, and they've learned a lot by doing the first few events. So we want to have all of you athletes jump in as soon as possible. She receives a 7.03. So there's a big amount of learning that comes through doing even one online event. So she finishes up with a 7.133 and in good position in this preliminary round. So up next we have Selah Newcomer.
시작.
She's from Oregon. She trains at USWC Taekwondo in Troutdale under Jorge Ortiz. There's so much to learn from recording over and over again, right, Miyako? And watching the athletes on the online events as we're able to view them with each episode. So much in that process, right?
Yeah, some things really are just different on video than they are in person. And hopefully you guys watched the Summer Poomsae. We had Selah here who did compete in the Summer Poomsae, so nice to see her back again. She only got her black belt like a year ago, so really having to pick up a lot of the new forms, continuing to train, and she had really great kicks. Getting a 7.0 here on the first form. And I do want to say though, as we talk about, consistency and needing to compete in multiple tournaments, the points only last for 12 months. So don't feel like if you haven't started competing yet, that, there's no reason for me to start now because everybody's ahead of me. Don't feel that way because the points expire after 12 months. So just getting in there and then being consistent once you start is really all you need.
Yeah, I'd jump in as soon as possible. If I was an athlete watching this and thinking maybe I will, maybe I won't, just jump in. You're going to learn so much. You can catch up. There's only been, a couple tournaments out here online, and you can jump in as soon as possible.
It's interesting. Selah actually was leaning slightly forward on her tiger stances, but not really in the front kicks themselves. So making sure that the chest is just upright in some of those more awkward stances. But otherwise, I think posture was really good.
Sure.
So Selah Newcomer receives a 6.87 in that second form. And that is right about where we have a whole chunk of athletes. She finishes up with a 6.933. So here's our standings so far in the Cadet Female Preliminary Round. In first, we have Ahana mochandani, followed by Kaylee, Yoshida, Calista de Guzman, Jisu Park, Han, Bernice, Mueller, Schmidt, and Mia Glory. That's the top 8, but we're looking for the top 31 in the division to move on to the semifinal round.
And I think I caught about 10 athletes in the 7 or higher. And we have 24 so far who have gone. So that's a good, if you're in a 7, I think you're doing a pretty good job. Probably going to make it into the semis, but we can't say anything for sure because we still have a lot more athletes to go.
Right. I think we have like what, 96 more to go. Yeah,
probably 245, I think.
Just in this preliminary round. Well, actually, we have 62 altogether, so we have plenty of action to come. So there's that pike position you were talking about on the side kicks. A little bit more attention to the alignment on the side kick will go a long way in the scoring. So again, this is Ciara Amiraz from Colorado. She trains at U.S. Taekwondo Center in Aurora under Sean Jung.
바로
So she receives a 6.53. Where does that shake out, Miyako, for that first Poomsae?
That's, I'm not sure. We're already 25 in. I think that's about halfway at this point, but we have so many athletes left to go. I really think you want to be up near 7 or higher if you want to be making that semis cut, which is hard because she's doing a great job. Like, she looks really good. Stance is long, maybe not quite bent in the front knee as much as she needs, but a couple little balance checks. I mean, this is a good form. It's just a really talented division. And
it's a very big division, so really takes a lot to get the referees to be looking your way. But,
right, I think nice kick. Yeah, her kicks are great, actually. A little bit of a head motion forward on that side. A little far away from her body on the push blocks.
That first one was awesome, that left side.
Yeah, you have to do something to get the judges to notice you and stand out in a good way when the division is this big. And whether it's, playing with the tempo, having really great kicks, having a really solid freeze or good power. So something that makes you special is what I think we all try and work on.
And she gets a 6.47 on the second Poomsae. Following that 6.53, she ends up with a 6.5. Here's another athlete from USWC Taekwondo in Troutdale and coached by Jorge Ortiz. This is Millie Johnson.
Well, I'm on to my second page of notes already, Coach Brand.
Wow.
Because we have so many athletes here in this prelim round.
Wow, she has really nice lines in these long leg stances here. When she goes out to a front stance, you can really tell she's trying to push for the extension that we've been talking about. Those front kicks are really nice.
And we couldn't see her head at all on the side kicks, which is great. It means she was really in position, leaning forward just a little on those walking stances. But overall, her position is pretty good. A little kind of swaying in a couple places, but really nice extension on a lot of things.
So she gets a 6.87. One thing she got to be careful of, sometimes when she gets to the end of a line, her foot turns inward. It's like anticipating the turn to the next position. So she's got to be a little bit careful on that. You might see it here at the end of this first line of Paul jump. A lot of athletes that have that tendency would do it right about there. She's a little bit pre-turning on that step. And then on this left foot here, a little bit turned inward as well. So she just has to give herself a little bit more time to settle in. And then at the same time, not anticipate the next movement. This one's straighter. This one's looking like a better position.
Yeah, but we didn't quite get the hip rotation and a little double pivot. Yeah, so there are lots of little things, but overall, I would say the picture of her form is really nice. So it's just cleaning up some little things.
Yeah, nice length. Nice lines. So we'll see maybe that inward turn right here again, where that right foot turns inward. Got to be careful about that. And then off on the side of the start mark, which Miyako talks about all the time, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we
Whether
got to
or not-
get back to where we start.
Yeah, whether an athlete will jump to try to get back to their spot or try to cheat in some other way without being noticed. But Millie ends up with a 6.9.
And Millie is a twin whose brother also does Taekwondo, so maybe we'll get to see him in another episode. She finishes up with a 6.883.
준비.
Up next, we have Haley Kolbach from California. She trains at Watsonville Taekwondo Academy and with a Team M Community Poomsae program.
You know, I think I remember her from the Summer of Poomsae. She, I think, also has either a twin or a sister. They look very similar. They're both in this division. They competed in the Summer of Poomsae, but they were in their hometown, I think. So now here, flew out to or drove to California to compete with their coaches, the M team coaches.
Where did she say she's originally from? Because it says that she trains with Watsonville Taekwondo Academy. Well, she
Yeah.
gets 7.33, great score.
That's in. Oh, it is in California. I see. Their
Right.
dojang. Their dojang was a different place. I guess their home dojang, but here they are in the hashtag garage.
Yeah, Watsonville's not too far away. It's kind of like in the Santa Cruz area that she's
Okay.
traveling from to the San Jose area. So not too far. It's a little bit of a commute. There's that inward turn that we were just talking about with that front foot leading and anticipating that turn. She had really nice side kicks in that first form. She's able to kick and kind of sit back a little bit and look at it and have the balance to push it out there and not waver at all.
Doing a good job of keeping that base leg locked in the front kick and then locked into the front stance. A lot of
Yeah.
times they'll kind of collapse it and then go into the front stance, but she's doing a good job with those long legs.
Right. I noticed that with the front kick, the base leg was staying nice and straight and sturdy. So it's nice to see the attention to detail to make sure her foundation is really strong for those kicking techniques, whether they're front kicks or side kicks. So she gets a 7.23 for the second form, following that 7.33. So she ends up with a 7.283. This is Sophie Richard from Virginia. She trains with U.S. Tigers Taekwondo under Dennis Kim. Nice push to the right side kick, a little bit higher, a little more extended than the left.
We need to make sure we really stack the weight on those back stances. But nice power coming through.
All right, little heel popping up and down a little bit in the transitions. We need to keep that foot sturdy and solid and still as we're transitioning from one turn to the next. So she gets a 6.93.
Stop.
Sophie competed in the Summer Poomsae, and she had taken off almost a year, I think, to deal with an injury that she had. So came back, saw her at the Summer Poomsae, now here at the Grand Slam. So hopefully she picked up on some tips from that first online experience and then was able to apply it here. She's looking nice and solid in her second form Paul jump. And I think she's probably going to be right near that cutoff. Not that we know where it is yet, but she was just under a 7 on the first form. Hopefully she can boost up a little bit on the second one.
Yeah, she has a lot of potential. Her jump kick looked pretty good, and those two kicks at the end look pretty strong for her. Some of the finishes, a little bit off target on some of the punching techniques and other hand techniques may impact her accuracy score. She may get dinged here and there for some of them being a little off target. So she gets a 6.93, the same as the first Poomsae. So she ends up with a 6.933. This is Christina Chavez from Nevada. She trains at Spirit Taekwondo under Yasmin Brown. I like the saying on the wall. Wow, look at her reach up for those kicks. The saying on the wall, little weird is good. That's right. You got to find a little weirdness and really highlight that.
Yeah, she has some really nice reach on the kicks and taking her time on the hand techniques. Sometimes with 4, it's a very quick form. It's pretty short. Athletes can speed through it, but she did take her time, had some breath on those draws on the blocks that I think gave her a nice tempo.
And over that 7, so that's what you were talking about earlier, that probably over 7 might be the safe spot to be. We didn't know at the time because we have so many athletes in this division. And we still don't quite know where that cutoff's going to be. But that 7.17 is a good opening score.
Right, we're not yet at the halfway mark. Oh, this front stance is a little bit short. Should be about a foot or even longer. Getting some extra, maybe you want more hip rotation. It wasn't quite there. So longer stance, more hip rotation. Got a little hair tie on her wrist.
Yeah, we have to be careful about that, right? Because we can't wear any earrings or any other jewelry or have anything that's distracting to the referee. So it might seem like a hair tie to you, Miyako, but to another referee, it might seem like a bracelet. So we want to make sure. It's 6.87. We want to make sure that we don't have anything that might be interpreted as something that we're not supposed to be using. So nothing on her wrists, nothing around our necks, nothing on her ears. She finished up with a 7.017. This is Aubrey Yamashita from Georgia. Wait. I am off. This is Aubrey Yamashita from California. She trains at Sky Martial Arts and the Team M Community Program.
Yeah, that's right. We see her here in the garage. I love saying #the garage.
Right. She normally trains at Sky Martial Arts for the rest of her training under Master Jun Yoon, and then here with Hui An and Long Win.
Outside of Taekwondo, she says she likes to draw, and she also runs cross country for her high school. Yeah, I guess 14 you can be in high school, huh?
Did you forget? She has a score of 7.07.
Yeah, you know, cadets, I think middle school, but 14, they can be in high school. Yeah, so that was the knee in turning, and I didn't really notice that until you mentioned it on my form, and now I see it in a lot of athletes that front knee caves inward as you go from front stance to front stance. So definitely something that I think as you get into the higher levels, it's definitely worth working on and thinking through. I'm seeing a lot of differences in that middle push block there in this form, Coach Brand. How far away from your chest should that hand be?
It's like a normal, like where a normal closed fist middle block would be. It doesn't have to be right next to your belt. A lot of athletes, they bring that in really tight, and it doesn't look like any volume or anything. They could extend it out a little bit further for sure.
But not like a locked arm. It shouldldn't be
No, it's
away.
bent.
Yeah.
That arm is definitely bent, just like a regular middle block would be bent. So you get a score of 7.0. So of course you can look in a mirror and see what looks best for your frame too. That's always a good way to go about it. So this is our standing so far in the Cadet Female Preliminary Round with Ahana Mochandani in first place still, followed by Kaylee Yoshida, Calista de Guzman, Jisu Park, Haley Han, Haley Kolbach, Bernice, Mueller Schmidt, Ia Gloria, Kaylee Jung, Taeyeon Kim, and Aubrey Yamashita. And then a new screen will come up here. So we have had quite a few athletes go up so far. So this is up to number 24 on this screen.
and we've had 30 athletes go so far. 13 have scores in the 7. So that's not quite half, but it's 13 out of 30. That's basically, the top half are already in the 7s. And like I said, we have the second half of the division now to go, and they're even higher ranked. So we might start getting into the 8s where that 7 isn't going to cut it anymore, which is just crazy. The cutoff might be higher than a 7 for the semis.
Yeah, we've had some good athletes so far, and maybe they weren't seated as high just because of the fact that they haven't been on an online event before, right? So we don't really know what's gonna happen right here with the cutoff just yet. So this is Jinso Park from Georgia. She trains at Kim's K Taekwondo under Sungjin Kim.
바로.
That's pretty good. Nice quick tempo, aggressive punches, and I think a pretty good reach overall for her frame.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of athletes from this club compete. Summer Poomsae also competed at the NCTA online event. Now this one. So we've seen a lot. Really good mentors for her.
That's right. It's always nice to have athletes on your team who are older, you can look up to. I'm sure that, she's helping coach some of the younger kids, and some of the juniors or seniors are help coaching the cadets. So it's a great environment when you have such a big team who are all really talented and they can help each other out. You're getting not quite a straight back on some of these moves, a little bit of hunching on the front kicks. Back leg just maybe not quite locked out.
Right, I see what you mean. Lots of potential. He's only been on Earth a very short time, so lots of time to grow and develop. I think these athletes, 12 to 14, oh my goodness, so young.
And that's a big score, 7.47. Judges really liked that one, actually.
7.4. So even though Miyako tore it apart, looks like the referee has slightly different.
No, Jinso did a great job. She's very good. We're just giving you some extra little pointers.
There you go. This is Aileen Jung from Illinois. She trains at Tiger Martial Arts, as you can see in the background, under Bo-Young Kim. Going for that nice big reach. Wasn't able to extend it quite all the way, but she probably could have. Looked like she had enough balance to do that. These back stances vary in size a little bit, so maybe finding that consistent length that feels really good would help.
And she had a lean on the early 2 front stances, and even on the walking stance, I could see her torso just slightly forward. I didn't see it as much in the back stance, so it's just kind of the front-facing ones. Front stance and walking stance need to be a little careful with, but a good score of 7.33 for Aileen.
Right, the same as the athlete before her. So this is interesting, same as Jinso Park.
So.
Fun fact about Aileen is that she plays the oboe, which is not a common instrument to play. So again, here, slight lean forward on the torso. We just want that back up.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer step would help so that lean doesn't happen. Looks like she really wants to lean forward as if it's giving her like a little bit more power, a little bit more thrust maybe. So she just has to turn that into maybe rotating the core to get a little bit more power.
Right, yeah, so from the belt up, just leaning back a little to get that back really vertically straight. She does a good job on the front kicks though, so I think it should hopefully be a nice easy fix.
So she received a 7.33 for the first one, and then comes in with a 7.17 for the second. And this has happened to a lot of athletes with a little drop in the score. So she ends up with a 7.250. We have so many athletes in about that range. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. This is Aubrey Nix. And she's from Arizona Pride Taekwondo and World Taekwondo Center. She's coached by Ruben Lawley and Megan Yee. We've seen many athletes in this setting competing in Summer Poomsae.
And I do think we're zoomed out a little bit from the Summer Poomsae. So this is a nice angle.
Yeah, it's a little bit better view, right, to appreciate her movement. I remember the other one being close in. So that has its benefits too. You can really see the athletes, you know, even their pores. But sometimes it's good to see from a little bit further away. She gets a score of 7.43. That is a big score.
Yeah, like I said, we're just at the halfway point now. The last 4 athletes all above a 7, and we have, you know, not quite 30-29 or so to go. We might be getting up towards the 8s, and that semi-final round cutoff is just getting higher and higher.
Ooh, I like her position here. Yeah, on that first one, we've had a couple 7.53s. We had a 7.73. So we have some pretty high scores already.
This is, I think, a good example of a nice long front stance.
Mm-hmm.
We can see the bend in her leg. Unfortunately, we do get to see that bend in the front kick as well. So the base leg, the pants are just a little bit more tapered, so we see that, but it does have a nice length when she locks out that back leg.
I think she has a ton of potential. Like those last couple stances, right? A little bit sagging on that back leg, but I think she can do it, and I think that she's, you know, in a good setting to be able to make that happen, because definitely her coaches know the next step for her. Absolutely. So she gets another 7. Oh, she gets 7.33 to follow up that 7.43 for the first Poomsae.
So not too much of a drop. That's good, and that's a good score. 7.383.
준비.
Up next, we have Valerie Larson. She's from Colorado and trains at U.S. Taekwondo Center Aurora under Sean Jung. Wow, do you see that? She's really trying to push up. She's got a little bit of a V shape in her body, but she was really trying to push up.
Some nice turning on the core and the shoulders and some of those middle moves there. So that's great for Valerie Larson from Colorado.
And right over that 7 bar there, so 7.07 for the first form.
Stop.
Valerie also does sparring. I guess those long legs come in handy for sparring. She placed 2nd in 2018 at National, so I think that's great. All of this Poomsae work, I will say, will carry over to sparring, especially if you're doing a lot of like side kick, high leg training. All that like fencing style sparring was popular, at least before COVID, so I'm sure that good side kicks really do help sparring as well. She also plays a violin, so hopefully some nice musical background can help her with her tempo for her Poomsae.
Well, we have a lot of musicians in this division.
We really do.
So cool if when we go back to face-to-face competition, they all bring their instruments and play close to the stand. She receives a 6.97 and finishes with a 7.017. This is Haley Ferguson from South Carolina. Good to see South Carolina represented here. She's from Master Kim's World Class Taekwondo, coached by Jung-Kyu Kim. It's so nice to see the athletes from all over the country, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere in between, joining us in this division.
Yeah, and I remember this dojang from the Summer of Poomsae, and I remember Haley because she has this great kind of groundedness to her, even though she's, not the tallest, but the hands just extend, the stances lock out. I really like her. I remember her from the summer.
Yeah, I'm thinking a high score here for that performance. She looked really good. Her stance level, her ability to throw the power and not swing her whole body from side to side as she was doing it. She gets a 7.27. Good score.
Yeah, her presentation was good. Her accuracy was a little low. I think she must have gotten a couple of nicks that I didn't see, but I think she gets a 3.3 on accuracy. That 7.2 jumps up to a 7.4. This is so nice, this long length here.
Right. We really haven't seen it a whole lot in this division yet, so it's good that she's doing that there. And also keeping that foot stationary and still during that transition, that right foot, which was a rear foot in the front stance, when she crossed over, she was able to keep that steady. Not many athletes have been able to do that.
And I know in the summer, Coach Brand, we talked about looking at your front kick versus looking straight for the kicks. And of course, since the summer, there's been a change now. You are encouraged to look with your eyes at your kicks. Do not look with your face, but look with your eyes.
Right, and that's for the World Championship. I think you're referring to that change there, that the athletes are now asked, because it's a live performance, that we have to make sure that we're looking toward the kick, and even to the degree that our head might even tilt up a little bit. Now that's usually not the case in an in-person tournament, so we don't want to change too much, because when we go back to in-person tournaments, it might look really funny to see our chin tilted back like that.
Right.
But at least for this one World Championship, right, with these international referees, that's going to be the case. Now, doesn't mean when we come back to do another online USAT event that's going to be the case. So we have to really watch for, whatever news is coming out, whatever updates we have. So we need to be careful sometimes when we change. We make these big changes and then we just have to adjust right back. So although
being flexible is so important as the rules change per tournament. So just being open to trying new things, but don't really stick them in your training until we know kind of what we're going to go back to when we go in person.
Right. We had a couple of changes, one for Taeyeon, how hand technique is done there, and then one for Sipchin. And we just always have to know that that's happening right now, but the next one we might change back or change it even further from what we have to do for a World Championship. So we just got to keep abreast of the information, everyone. So that was a good performance. 7.3 for Anushka's first Poomsae.
And I think she's from Connecticut, is that right?
Right. She's from World Champion Taekwondo at Amity, coached by Henry Kim and Gunsu Kim.
So nice long air track there. I don't know what those yellow ones are, but those look fun. Probably give you a good bounce off of them.
I haven't seen that tight before.
She has a little extra motion on some of her body parts, the elbows coming out, knee caving a little bit on the back stance, like right there. But overall, nice long punches. So a 7.3 is a good score on the first form. Hopefully she can keep it up on this second form.
And 7.2 for the second.
So not too much of a drop. That's pretty good.
Right, she still, I think, might be in good shape. She has 7.250. I know everybody at home has probably got this long chart that they're working with, but right now the standings for the round, we have Ahana, Mochandani in first, followed by Kaylee, Yoshida, Calista, the Guzman, Jisu Park, Jinso Park, Aubrey Nix, Haley Han, Haley Ferguson, Haley Kolbach, Haley Young, Anushka, Acharya, and Bernice. So that's top 12, but look, we have more. So there's the next 12 in the division, and then we'll have one more screen.
Look at that, 19 athletes already in a 7, 19 out of 36. Wow. So you're going to have to be above a 7. I think it might be closer to 7.2 by the time we finish with, 20 more athletes or so. Here's our last screen of athletes, up to 36 so far. Like we mentioned, there are 62 in the division. We're taking the top 31. So that cutoff right now with just 36 athletes is a 6.5, but I think it's going to get up, mid sevens maybe, but definitely above a 7.0 to make it to the semis.
Here's Lauren Matsuda from California. She's with the Team M Community Poomsae program and coached by An Hui and Long Huyen.
Well, your favorite fun fact, Coach Brand, is that Lauren loves boba, but she also likes to play golf, and she likes reading, doing art, and hanging out with her friends.
Those are some great fun facts. It's really nice when the athletes share what they're into, right? Miyako, it helps us learn more about them and get interested, not just in what they're doing in Poomsae, but what they're doing everywhere else as well. She gets a 7.0 for her first Poomsae.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be a well-rounded, athlete, but a well-rounded kind of person, and having lots of interests, some sports, some creative, and I think they really feed each other. So the musical talents can help with your tempo and your Poomsae, or whatever it might be, cooking, you can be creative. So I think it's nice to try a bunch of different things. And of course, hobbies might be totally different now during COVID because we're inside. You can't hang out with your friends. You can't go out and play sports if it's contact or whatever. So maybe we're all trying some new things like baking, bread. I don't know. I wish I could bake bread. I want bread.
It's a good time for that.
Yeah, it's getting cold. That was a really nice performance from Lauren. She got that 7.0 on the first form. So she's going to have to bump up here to make it to the semis.
Right.
In the
So
second
she
one.
needs to boost up that score. A lot of times we've been seeing a lower score on the second Poomsae, and unfortunately that's the case here for Lauren. She gets a 6.97. And boy, we've seen a lot of scores at around that same point. She ends up with a 6.983.
Chumbi.
This is Shruti Venkataraman. Did I say that poorly enough? Venkataraman from Texas. She's with NTA Taekwondo and coached by Tu Doolittle. Wow, she's got a nice, look at that, nice long kick.
Wow. Yeah, this is a cool location. It looks
Great
like their
training
house.
spot. Wow, great training spot. Nice and big.
Yeah, and kicks like at her face. Look at those kicks.
Yeah. Well, whoever put this together, mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, aunt, uncle,
good
whoever did
job.
it. Yeah, good job.
And we like to say that kicks aren't everything, but when your kicks are great, it just wows. I mean, those were amazing. Look at that score, 7.53.
It's nice that she has the support at home to put that little training area together. It looks like she can maybe put it in or put it out depending on the need of the family at the time. We have a lot of parents who are willing to do this for the kids, especially during the time that we have to stay at home. They've really kind of taken their house apart and put it back together many, many times for these events. So thank you very much for doing that. It matters. It really does matter for the performance. And this is support that, that a lot of kids don't have the opportunity to have right now. So when you're putting it together, just know it's much appreciated. Look at those high front kicks.
Jeez, how did she not knock herself out? This is great. Well, I guess that flexibility, Coach Brand, comes also because she's a classically trained dancer. She's given a lot of performances. She also likes to choreograph her own dances. So I'm sure that flexibility really comes in handy and helps in that aspect of her training as well.
Sure does. Were you the one who's telling me you were thinking about going to the doctor and getting some tendons taken out and other ligaments so that you could have that flexibility too?
That was not me, but that's not a bad idea now that you mention it.
7.53 and 7.57 gets her the total score of 7.55. Okay, some people do what they gotta do. You know,
That's a massive score. That might put her close to first. Close, maybe second.
Right, so we had that huge 773, if you remember, by our first place finisher, but the total score was a little lower than that, of course. So this is Chloe Tan from California. She trains with Taekwon Kids with Kim Bo-hyun.
And here's another great open, maybe living room space. Maybe that black bar back there gets to be a fire. I wish that's a fireplace. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I think it is. A good spot for her to train and practice, get ready for this, and do all the recording right there at home. She gets 7.23, nice, good score. Hopefully that's going to be enough, or hopefully she can boost it up to get into a safer place here with the second form.
See here, Chloe, Coach Brand, one of her fun things to do outside of Taekwondo is bake. So Chloe, tell me all the tips for baking.
So many baking competitions on TV these days.
Oh, I love the Great British Bake Off. It's my favorite.
So I'm wondering if she's thinking about maybe competing there as well. Yeah, that's a great show. Can only watch it so much, though. After, watching 2 or 3, I have to stop. I get very hungry. Got to go sit down for a minute, come back.
Yeah, but Chloe's doing a good job working through these forms. Not the highest kicks, but really clean. Knee caved in just a little bit on that back stance, but nice finishing picture on the stances.
Right, and there's that finish point again, a little bit off, and I think most of the athletes have been a little bit off on that Paul jump. Just drives everybody crazy. How am I supposed to get back to that mark? But it's possible. 7.17 for Chloe Tan. So she's
right.
Going to finish up with a 7.2. This is Sydney Abarientos from Connecticut. She had 2 teammates here in this setting at World Champion Taekwondo in Fairfield. She's coached by Cheo Lung Kim and Gunsu Kim. Look at that reach.
Wow.
Nice.
Nice
Especially on that
long
left
legs.
one. Yeah, that left one was way up there.
Front kick's not quite as high as the side kicks looked, but of course we can't really tell because the side kicks, as long as you're in alignment, they look high. But we'll see those front kicks from another angle in Paljong. But nice first opening form here for Sydney. We got to see her in the summer of Poomsae. A lot of competitions that she's done in both sparring and Poomsae, here with a 7.07.
Yes, it's nice to see athletes in both disciplines sparring and Poomsae. And I don't know that it's necessary to specialize in one or the other just yet. Just go out, have some fun, enjoy both.
Right. And you can really, up through high school, college, even a lot of college club Taekwondo teams will have you do both sparring and Poomsae. I think it's a good balance. It really helps you with the team aspect to it. Because a lot of times you train by yourself, right? In Poomsae, but sparring, you compete by yourself in sparring too. But when you go to college, you can be on a team, and it's a little bit of a different vibe if you can compete in the East Coast has a lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight kind of thing for Poomsae, where you all compete individually, but you need your teammates to win as well. So it's just a cool, different kind of tournament experience at the college level if they continue.
Right. So you want to bring that versatility to your team, especially when you're going to college. I know many of our young athletes are already thinking about college, and certainly their parents are, and hoping that they can continue Taekwondo in their college years, and they can definitely do that. There are a lot of college programs around the country that they can be a part of, and when you get there, you want to be as versatile as possible. So doing both Poomsae and sparring is helpful, and also when you're doing Poomsae, thinking about individual, pair, and team competition.
That's right.
This is Megan Kim from California. She trains at Taekwon Kids with Chin Sonu and also with the Team M program with An Hui and Long Wen.
She has some good body posture on the front kicks where there wasn't a lot of movement at all. So really good body control, good flexibility there on those front kicks.
Oh, look at that. Nicely rewarded with the 7.53. So that's a nice safe score, isn't it?
Yeah, that's nice to have for sure on the first form.
Yeah, hopefully maybe even higher on this one. Not many athletes have been able to do that, but maybe she will be able to.
And you know, Coach Brand, we still have 20 athletes, 21 more after Megan goes. So she does need to get that high score. Of course, you know, the top half, 31, go into the semis, but then only 8 go on to the finals. So getting as high as you can now does kind of help with your order, the placement that you go in the semis to try and make that top 8 in the finals.
Wow, she's throwing some big kicks here to try to make her point to say that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about those semis, but even more importantly, those finals.
Exactly.
Longer stances in many of the divisions, so I think she'll do well here in her score. So she did receive that 7.53 for Taeyeon Sajan. And now for Taeyeon Poljang. She has a 7.5. Wow, that is not much of a drop at all. So she's in really fine shape. That's Megan Kim from California, finishing with a 7.517. Up next, we have Jean Legaspi from Hans Taekwondo Academy. She's trained by Francis Esposo as well as An Hui and Long Wen. Oh, nice push. Really trying to go for those side kicks. Right, so she's really trying to push high. She just has to make sure she fully extends it. Now, I don't know if it's just my camera can't capture it all as I'm viewing it, but it looks just a hair from full extension.
Yeah, and I think there's a slow kind of lean back into some of those stances. So just sticking things a little bit more if possible will help that score push up. But a 7.03 is really good. She does need to bump up here, though, to make it into the semis, I think.
Right. That's when it starts to really get exciting here, when we get to our last 20 or so athletes in a big division like this and really see how these scores start to factor into who's going to make it to that next round.
That was a nice transition. She also does both sparring and Poomsae. She competed in the summer Poomsae. So here we go. I think she was maybe in her house in a small room in the summer.
I remember it was fairly narrow. It was a real narrow.
Her.
Yep.
But she, outside of Taekwondo, likes to play violin. So we have some more musician here. She also likes anime, playing volleyball, and of course, drinking boba.
Of course. Cannot have a Taekwondo athlete who doesn't drink boba. So I think the funny thing is, like on the kicks, we need a little bit more leg straightening, but on the and the same thing is true of her stances. Some of them aren't quite extended all the way. So if she just takes that one idea through both the kicks and the stances, she might end up with some really good scores in the next event. So she's got some good scores here, but this is such a big group, right? That she gets 2 7.03s. I'm not sure if that's where that is exactly, Miyako. My math is not that fast.
Here we go. Let's see.
Here's our standings right here. Look at this. So we have this very similar to our last group here. This is the top 12 on the screen here, starting off with Ahana and Mochandani.
So our first 12, 7.25 and higher. Our top 24 in the sevens. So it is a lot of athletes here in the sevens. We're up to 42 athletes so far. So let's look for that.
A few tie scores here in this set. So let's take a look up to number 31. That 31 spot is a 6.767.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, I think, a tight run for the semis there because we have some high 6.9s as
Right.
well as some low 7s. We don't know quite where that cutoff is gonna be right now. Like you said, it's a 6.767, but we have 43 to 62 athletes. What is
Right.
that, 29? I can't do math that fast either.
준비.
Not 29, 19. I'm a
That's a
history
lot
major.
to go. It's going to be brutal because many of these
Sieg.
performances are really fine performances. I know the athletes have worked really hard on them. They had to pre-record all of these Poomsae, not just this round, but all of the rounds, right? Miyako to be, having for USAT, they have them just in case they got to the next round. So it's a lot of work for all of these athletes.
Yeah, you have to plan and record all 3 rounds. Whereas if you're doing a live tournament, if you only, get through the prelims and that's all you do, then you're done. But you also had to prep all the forms just in case. So maybe the prep work is somewhat similar. It's just kind of the performance aspect of it that's really different.
And she gets a 6.87. That's Celine Allersmeyer.
시작.
Here's another state we don't get to see too much of. She's from
Right, Missouri.
Yeah.
So that's great. So she's from Woosop's Taekwondo, coached by Scott Ferguson.
And I think she's just 12 years old, so she looks pretty tall. If she's just starting out this division, she has some more years. She also plays violin and does skateboarding. I feel like both of those things are great for Poomsae. Skateboarding is going to give you a good core and balance, and then violin gives you a good understanding of rhythm and tempo. So, Celine, you just got to put all of that and then put it into your Poomsae.
Right, a lot of potential in her technique here. Well, her turns are pretty solid. I would say that's like one of the best things that she has going. She's really highlighting those quick turns and doing that correctly in balance.
Get.
So good job to Celine Allersmeyer from Missouri. She trains again at Woosop's Taekwondo under Scott Ferguson. So she gets a 6.67.
So drop on accuracy there. Just cleaning up a couple things, I think will bump that up.
So she ends up with a 6.767. So this is Rachel Erickson from Minnesota. She trains at World Taekwondo Academy under Patrick Hawk.
I think some athletes from this dojang in the summer of Poomsae had the camera on the ground, I believe.
Remember.
So this is a much better angle.
Right, it's a little higher. I don't know if it's all the way up yet, right? But it is better.
Yeah, it could be a few more inches higher, but a lot better than the ground for sure.
Right, for sure, because this is a much calmer view for us all to view it from, and the referees too. So good job on that. She gets a 6.5. The ideal spot is for the camera to be centered on the belt of the athlete. So both left to right and high to low, centered on the belt, the best spot. With not a lot of tilt or not really any tilt. Sometimes athletes tilt up the camera in order to make their kicks look higher. But we can all tell
I
you're doing
wouldn't know anything about that.
But we can all tell, Miyako, when you're doing that.
Well, here's a fun fact about Rachel. She's 13 and she likes to both bake and do art. More baking. I need more baking tips, guys.
Especially this time of year.
So good to see Rachel here after the summer of Poomsae. I think she definitely picked up some things from that version. So now, same thing. We just want to clean up a couple more things. Make sure the elbows stay in on those front kicks when you're jumping, so they're not flying outside your body. And then nice, clean finishes. We did drop just a tad here in the second form to a 6.33.
Right, so she had that 6.5 for taking Sajang, and then like many of the athletes in this division, a little bit of a drop. So she finishes at the 6.417.
준비.
So up next we have Elizabeth Kim from Illinois. She trains at I Tiger
Stop.
Martial Arts with Taeyeon Kim. Nice side kicks. Really good control. I wonder if she's at the top end of this division age-wise.
I think she's 13 this year, maybe. So right in the middle. She does take her time, right? She's not rushing through this.
바로.
So mature, so sophisticated.
Yeah, I remember her from the Summer of Poomsae. I feel like she just really owns the space and the form. She does it her way, her style.
Well, look
And
at
a
that.
good score.
Nobody's rushing her. She's just not to be rushed. It's like, just leave me alone. I'm very mature in my movement and I'll do it as I like.
시작.
She also does horseback riding. So I wonder, depending on if she does Western or English, but that body positioning is great. I feel like maybe she could have picked that up from horseback riding, where there's, the horse is moving and you try and keep your body really stable. I feel like that helps here with the Poomsae,
Yeah, I
keeping that
think
torso.
it really would. Right. I think it really would, keeping that core very calm and motionless and letting the animal do all the work and not just kind of going for a bumpy ride and letting everything move with the horse. That definitely can help her balance here. Her core does seem to be one of the stronger features.
Yeah, she's going to have to cut over here to finish
Yeah,
on
I
her
was just thinking
line.
that too. Every time they do that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how are you going to get to your starting spot? And for many of
Not
them,
quite.
they're not going to do that.
차렷. 견해.
Well, I do wonder, since there's no rules, do you have to be on mats or could you be outside or like on a carpet or anything?
What did you mean? What did you mean to say?
Well, so if the judges can't, if you're competing on a carpet, the judges can't tell where you start. So it might be, maybe they're not looking for a starting place.
Right, but most of the time we just
Maybe.
do when we view, right? So we find something in the background that we can note,
시작.
something in the environment where we can see their start point. And usually it's because they're centered on the camera.
That's right. And this is Sabrina Kim.
Right, she trains in New York at Master Kim's Taekwondo Institute under Suji Kang.
And that is her dad's school. Her dad is Master Kim over there, I think Grandmaster maybe. On the right picture, that's her dad. So it's nice to see her. This dojang looks huge. And she did a really great job opening up in this first form.
She gets a big 7.47.
시작.
And Sabrina and her family got a Jisu puppy during the pandemic to help them be at home. Look at this dance. This is a nice long
Yeah.
stance. Sorry, I got distracted.
Right, this is what we're talking about right here. A little bit more time and energy putting into extending those stances really going to pay off. Head's tilted down a little bit, maybe bring that chin back up, but other than that, looks great. Wow, nice high front kick. Let's see what's happening here. Oh, the kick looked nice and high with base leg. We got to make sure we straighten out that base leg.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a curve in her back on the front kicks and some of these front stances. But this is like, I almost like this one better than the first form. I think she's showing a different quality than we saw in Sajang. I hope this is, a 7.5 or higher. I liked this one.
긴이.
So let's see here. First form, she got a 7.47. Now a 7.3. Oh, this is sad. I liked the second form better. So I'm a little surprised, but I think that score should be enough to get her to the semis. We'll have to see. She finishes with a 7.400.
준비.
And up now we have Abby
Stop.
Chu. Abby is from New York and trains at Champions Taekwondo, coached by Andrew O. Nice high front kick. Pretty good pause on the back stances and the front stances. Sort of inconsistent actually on the free. Sometimes it's really clean and it looks great. And then sometimes as she tries to push the connections, she doesn't quite finish some of those moves. But I think that there's really great elements to a lot of it, just making it consistent throughout the form. She gets a 7.33.
It's starting to be a real battle.
Yeah, it really is.
시작.
She really packs a lot of power into a small frame.
Yeah, I was looking, those punches are right on the center line, but her frame is so narrow that her punch sort of looks like it's half her body. She's so tiny, but she's getting great power and good alignment. Slight lean here, shoulders are forward, so that torso should be nice and tall.
Yeah, her torso is so small, so, relatively small to her leg length that her kicks look like they go way up over her head.
Yep, both of those front kicks clearing her head.
바로.
So that was Abby Chu. She got a 7.33 on the first form. Now just finishing Paul Jung.
I'm going to say maybe not quite as high. Oh, look at that. I add 7.37. Oh, good for her. And sometimes I think we emphasize the high kick so much, Miyako, that sometimes everything else takes a back seat. We really should start with that foundation first. This is Julia Cho from New York. She trains at Champions Taekwondo 2 under Andrew O. Front kicks, not a problem for her. They go up nice and high. The side kicks weren't able to extend probably as much as she wanted them to, but those front kicks are way up there.
Yes, I think she's from New York, trains with Miracles Team East. I think coached by Master Suji Kang over there on the East Coast. But she also trains as a competitive figure skater, which is really cool. She gets a 7.10 on the first form. She also plays the cello and participates in Orchestra NYLO. She also likes TikTok and loves bubble tea. I wonder, we should do a survey. I did a survey once when I was in college, whether you call it bubble tea or if you call it boba, tells you like what part of the country you're from. Like if you call soda or Coke or pop or whatever.
I hope it was an informal survey that you didn't spend a lot of time on.
No, it was for somebody in like a psych class or something. But Julia here likes bubble tea and she's doing a good job with her Paul Jung. Also pushing the length of the stances. So now we're starting to see some longer stances. I think it's just something you have to be very aware of and push them because we are practicing at home so much. But we are starting to see some of the athletes who are ranked a little higher with some good stances.
Wow, look at that, 7.47.
Big score, big jump up.
Great. So she's going to end up though with the 7.283. And here's our standings. So we've mentioned the athletes at the top here. Let's take a quick look at these top 12, starting off with Ahana Mochandani, Shruti Venkataraman, Megan Kim, and Kaylee Yoshida in the top 4 spots. But we have plenty more here. So we'll see a few more screens. This is just the top 12. And here's the next 12 up to number 24. And of course, we're looking for the top 31 in this division of 32 athletes in the preliminary round.
That's right, 48 have gone so far. We have 62 total. So on our next screen, we'll see what that 31st score is for now.
We're almost done with the division. There's a top 31 there. The score is 6.933 and with a tie there. So that's exciting, at least for now.
So we still have like 12, 13 or so athletes to go. So it is definitely, you know, we're already basically at a 7, essentially. So it's going to go up quickly, I think, into about a 7.2 or even higher for that final cutoff. But really, I think everybody should be very proud of themselves because I've been just really impressed with this division so far.
Yeah, this division for sure has deep talent. So all the athletes here have been very strong so far. We don't have any athletes that are, you know, looks like we don't have any athletes that are beginners here. We have athletes that are really working on their performances. So this is Alana Heinrichs. I remember her from Aki Martial Arts. Trains under Ray Key in Illinois.
Right, she competed in the Summer Poomsae, I think I remember. And she has some really fun facts. She's in the National Junior Honor Society. She's in 8th grade this year, middle school. But she's taking high school junior math courses. That's great. We really love to see our ladies doing STEM, especially at such a high level. So be interested to see what she's hoping to do with that in the future.
Oh,
look at that score.
Well, put that on your chart. Put that on your chart right there, Alana Heinrichs, and figure out who has a chance of beating you at this point. 7.63. She's probably calculating right now all the ins and outs of this division.
Yeah, you know, I'm taking notes here. I have the scores for every athlete to try and track and see so that we have the scores for you guys. I hope you guys are taking notes at home too. Alana just shot herself into first place with that score, but we do need to see here the second score to see if she can hold on.
I don't know. I thought we had one 7.73 from
the
our
first form?
place. From Ahana.
Oh, that's right. But she dropped all the way down
Right.
to dropped down to a 7.4.
He doesn't need to be reminded of that. Come on, Miyako.
Sorry. So her total score though is a 7.567. Right. So Alana is right there. She's gonna have to keep a similar score or a little higher to beat her and stay in the first place. So let's see if she can do it.
차렷 경례.
It just gets so exciting here.
Okay. That was 7.63, so I think she may have pushed herself up there.
I think she did it.
Yeah, 7.633.
So that is our new high score, but like we said, there's still 11 or so athletes left, 12.
And many of these are highly seated individuals. This is Gahui Kim from Georgia. She trains at Kim K Taekwondo under Sungjin Kim. We've seen a lot of athletes from this club do very well in online competition. She just needs to be a little concerned about that bouncing kind of up and down movement as she's going from some of those lower stances. A little steadier on that back end, so good job for finishing up strong. Again, this is Gahui Kim from Georgia, and she's starting off with a 7.33. You know, I'm sure the parents are calculating away. I think that's how they get their nervous energy taken care of. You know, they can't really control anything, so they're doing the calculations over and over again, probably on a big chart, whiteboard, something like that. Dry erase board at home. That's probably really fun.
Nice twist of the core and hips here.
Right, that rotation's so important. Some athletes forget to do it at all, or maybe they've never been taught to do it, but that rotation is super important.
I like the second form for her. There are a couple little things. She had a double pivot. One of those tiger stances was a little bit short, but I think that she has a really nice presentation to the second form. And a 7.33 on the first form is pretty darn good. So let's see if she can hold on to it. I think that should be good enough for the semis right now. That cutoff was around a 7, but again, it's going to go up. So
Right.
the higher the
It's
score it
definitely
is, the safer you are.
Right, 7.3. Just a little tiny drop in that second form. So she ends up with a 7.317. There were quite a few ties in there too. That's always exciting. There were like 3 ties in that second screen of the standings. This is Yuri Kim from California. She trains with the Wangale USA under Poomsae Master Songjae Lee.
Nice high front kicks. Body doesn't move at all. And I think she's wearing a Poomsae team belt, which is really the key, is if you have that USA Poomsae team belt, which I think she is wearing.
So Yuri starts off. Wow. Okay, that's a game changer there. 7.7 for Yuri Kim.
Yeah, we have 10 athletes left, and she's getting up to a 7.7. So one of the top 3 or so, top 2 highest scores on that first form. And she's looking really solid here on the second form.
Yeah, these are high scores. This is just a prelim round too.
She looks very comfortable. That like confidence, the ease of motion is I think what we're going to start to see with some of these last athletes, where it should look easy. It should look somewhat natural. Your face shouldn't be too like furrowed brows concentration. And she does really just make this look easy, but there is power and control. And outside of Taekwondo, she plays the violin. She also draws. And she does video gaming with all of her favorite TKD besties. So they must all get online and play video games together, which is a great way to hang out with your friends these days, is all online.
Okay, so Yuri got a 7.7. Look at that. One of the rare competitors in this division to get a higher score, 7.73.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, so she finishes up with a 7.717 and now into first place. So this is Alyssa Shim from New York. We've had a few others from this club in this division as well. She's with Team Champions Bayside under Andrew O. She's able to turn on some real power there, those last 4 steps. A lot of athletes like those last 4, right? Miyako's pop, pop through all those blocks and punches at the end. So nice big score too, 7.53.
Stop.
A little short on some of these stances. I think she highlighted the length. It would look be really pretty.
Right, she gets great extension on the front kicks, but the front stances are just a little bit short.
Well, nice height there on those kicks. She always finishes really strong. Those last few steps, she always pushes the power. Looks good.
Shot.
So she had a 7.53 for the first Poomsae. And now look, again, another athlete's able to boost up the score on the second, 7.57. So she ends up with 7.55.
quite as high as Yuri, who went just before her, but that is a good score. That's going to put her near the top for sure.
Like, I think like top 3 maybe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is Naomi. Oh, I remember Naomi. She was so strong at Summer of Poomsae. I like this like really low grounded character to her Poomsae.
Definitely. And she also had a lot of power.
Yeah, really steady.
Great front
High
kicks.
kicks coming out of those low stances. Man, I really like her style for sure. Nice and low and strong. She's
Yeah, that was great.
level.
So she came into this tournament ranked in 10th place, but she opens up with a 7.77.
Yeah, hold the phone. 7.77.
So that's a nice big score. We know that she's coached by Grandmaster Ruben Mali and Megan Yee. I feel like she has picked up some really great traits from Coach Megan.
For sure. Look at this rotation. Really nice low to the ground, like a Cadillac. I know that's like really an old car, but those of you who know what a Cadillac is, you know what I'm talking about. So steady.
Nice reach. Again, looking very calm and composed.
Well, a little leaning on the kicking technique, but other than that, pretty good. Nice high kicks. Yeah, I expect another good score for Taeyeon Paul Jung.
Naomi draws both digitally and on paper, did you know, Coach Brand? And she also plays the piano and the guitar.
Wow, that's a lot. See, look at that, 7.73. But you know, I'm looking ahead at some of the competitors coming up, and I think these scores are going to continue to rise. She got a 7.75, and that score anytime, people would just be ecstatic to have a 7.75, right?
Yeah.
But to think that we're not near done with this competition, we still have 9 athletes to go. This is Ella Ward from Virginia. She trains at Apex Tigers Martial Arts under Master Gita Gun. And I think we're going to continue to see those scores rise.
That's right, but a 7.75, if not quite first place. I don't know. I think it is first place. Maybe. But definitely going into the finals, you know, with that type of score. She's top 8 for sure. But of course, this 31 right now, we're looking for to go into the semis. And Ella Ward, maybe not quite as strong as Naomi, who went right before her, but really clean, nice performance, and gets a big score of 7.57.
Right. Some kids would be like super focused on, I just want to get to the next round, semifinal round. Some kids are so competitive. They want to just kill it on every round and come in first or top 3 in each round to really, you know, have that reward for all of their hard work. So Ella Ward's doing a good job here. She too is trying to go for that rotation, or at least somewhat of a rotation there on that midline.
And she's quite patient as well. A good tempo where she's taking her time. It doesn't feel like it's rushed. Especially that first bar. Front stance a little narrow there. But just not in a rush. She's not rushing anything. I think it works for her tempo overall. It's very consistent throughout the whole form. It just comes across very comfortable.
Right. I don't know about the power level. I want to see what the judges think about that, because when that rhythm's working for her, it's working really nice. But I think to get up a little bit higher, she's going to have to turn it on a little bit more in the upcoming rounds. Looks like she's probably safe in this round, but next time we see this division, she might have to turn it up. Here's our standings again so far. Taking the top 31 out of this group of 62 Cadet Female Black Belts.
that the top 12 all 7.45 or higher.
Those are amazing scores anytime, right? We'd all be happy with these scores. These are great scores, especially that 7.75. Wow.
Yeah, I really do think that everybody so far, and really the whole, first episode here, this preliminary division for the Cadet Female Black Belts, it's just been great. And I know I said it earlier, but you should feel very proud of yourselves, ladies, for putting out a good performance. I don't think I've seen anything where, you should feel worried or like, oh, I need to work more. Obviously, we need to work more, but this was just a great round so far.
I think it's going to be very inspiring to the athletes in this division. At least I hope so, that the ones that don't make it through the round see like, okay, I see a gap where I am to where I need to be, but I can close this gap step by step. I just got to sit with my coach. We got to come up with a plan, and I know I can do it. There's going to be another event coming up, and I'll try it there, right? I'll try to see how much I can close that gap every single time till I'm in that top group, that top medal group.
And we have, I think, just 8 or so athletes left. And then we will be done with this prelim round, our very first episode here of the 2020 Poomsae Grand Slam online for the cadets and juniors.
Here we are chopping up with Jason and Prisha, and this is the 2020 USA Taekwondo Grand Slam. This is the online Poomsae competition. Prisha, how are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Prisha, online Poomsae competition. You've been through several now, but we haven't had a live competition in about a year now, almost a year. I miss it so much. What do you miss about those live competitions?
Sir, the thing I miss most is the energy that comes off of the crowd. And when you're competing, you feed off of that energy and you use it to fuel your performance. And it just makes your performance come out so much better, sir. And I really miss that.
I really miss that's so well said, because you do feed off the energy. Even us as spectators or commentators, we feed off it as well. So it's so well said. So hopefully we're going to get to do this sooner than later live. So I'm looking forward to having that energy and seeing you and the other competitors there. So, I know you're an elite Poomsae competitor, but you have a lot of other activities you do outside of Taekwondo. So can you kind of dive into one for us?
Sure, sir. I am the founder and head editor of my school's newspaper club.
Yeah, that's just not just the editor. You founded it, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. I love that. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Toughest favorite story that your newspaper club has put out at your school to this date? What is it?
Favorite and best article that we've put out is probably the article we wrote about our school's basketball team competing against one of their biggest rivals.
Right. That's awesome.
It was so epic. We had a small team of people come out and to cover the game, and it was probably the easiest one, our best one, and it was the quickest article that we've ever done. We wrote it and we got it published in only a couple of days. It was really amazing. A big thank you to our team.
That's amazing. It sounds epic. Now I want to read this article. So now you know what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to write some articles about you in your paper, because you're an elite Poomsae competitor. So what happens when you have to write an article about your success at USA Taekwondo? Are you gonna write it, or is it gonna be somebody else?
Usually for this kind of thing, sir, we would have someone interview me.
Yes, I can, and you know what? I can do that. I can help with that down the line. That's awesome. Appreciate it. I'm so impressed with you. Just your ability to get on this interview and just tell us like it is. So good luck at this up and coming competition. I know you're going to do great, but now you need to throw it out to you. So I'm going to have you tell everybody who's coming up next, Prisha.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Prisha Sharmali. Don't miss it. Continue watching.
You heard her.
준비.
Up next, this athlete was seeded 8
Shot.
coming into this event. This is Prisha Shrimali from New Jersey. She trains at Miracles USA Taekwondo under Master Suji Kang.
Nice high front kicks. We're also seeing a nice bend in the stances. So when she's in those back stances, we see the deep bend of the knees here, again, pushing the depth of the stance.
바로.
So Prisha starts off with a 7.2. Hopefully she can go a little higher. What's the cutoff again, Miyako?
Right now it's a 7.033.
Shot.
But with these last 8 athletes being the highest seeded athletes so far, it is, I think, going to go pretty close to that 7.2 range. So yeah, hopefully she can boost up here just a little bit to really secure that spot into the finals. But again, nice long stance. And
For some of our viewers, Miyako, that don't know how she got her seeding in the number 8 spot, how did that happen?
So there's a new system where tournaments can be USAT sanctioned, USA Taekwondo sanctioned, and then you get points. So because this is a 16.0 tournament, there are 160 points up for grabs for the first place person, but there's only been 2 tournaments so far. There was the Summer of Poomsae that were sanctioned, and then the NCTA live online tournament. So those 2 are the only places you could have gotten those points. And this is the biggest tournament by far for those ranking points. So this is really the important one to be at.
Right, so Prisha gets a 7.1, so combined with that 7.2 for Taeguk Saja, it's going to end up with a 7.150. Right, so the NCTA tournament was only worth 40 points, and the Summer of Poomsae was worth 80 points. So like you said, by far, this one is, got a ton of points associated with it at 160 points. Okay, this is Sydney Moon from California, trained by, I'm guessing, her father, Master Andrew Moon. This cool, looks like a home setting that's been kind of decked out for this Poomsae event.
Yeah, we've seen a couple different people put up curtains kind of blocking out space, and it does just make it really clean. It helps the judges focus on the Poomsae. Sydney here moving through this one nice and comfortably. She has been on the national Poomsae team before, so I think she feels probably pretty comfortable so far with these 2 forms here in the prelims. And a 7.50, so good score.
Nice good score.
시작.
So we're not getting a ton of hip movement, but she is very clean. So there's not a ton of extra motion. So unfortunately, yeah.
Really
Very flexible.
Time. I think her environment there, her, dojo, mini dojo there, kind of reminds me, was it Sheena Kim in the
in the
Master 1 division? I think she had something similar, like a very narrow but really cool spot in her house, kind of like burgundy background. And it really made it nice because easy for the judges to focus.
Right, no distractions, no extra colors or anything. And she gets, again, a little bit of a higher score on the second one. Not easy to do, a 7.53 here.
Yeah, I think she may be safe here with a total score of 7.517.
준비.
Up next, we have Valentina Glines.
시작.
She's from the National Taekwondo Center, Rancho Palos Verdes, California. and she trains under Kun Yi.
I remember her from the summer of Poomsae. She just kind of burst out and had this really great performance here, coming in sixth seed ranking order. She doesn't have the highest kicks, but very clean, moving through at a quick tempo. And I remember her fun fact outside of Taekwondo is that she does parkour.
Wow, that's fun and dangerous and risky. That's super cool. 7.43. I hope her parents are well insured. She looks like she has kind of a body type for it, right? Kind of wiry and kind of agile. So all that's probably super fun for her.
Right. She also likes obstacle course racing. I'm not sure exactly if you do that like in a car type thing or if you just are doing the obstacles yourself. But if she likes parkour and she seems very light and live, I feel like she could do some freestyle stuff and that would be great.
She got nice reach on those front kicks. I think maybe a little bit more volume on some of these hand techniques would help her.
바로
Yeah, so really
Hit it.
solid performance. Again, a
Junior.
7.43 on that first form. Should be high enough for the semis, but again, she's probably looking to get into that final top 8. But a 7.4 is good. That's good.
That'll do it. Well, it should do it. I'm sure the parents know way ahead of us. They probably have this like right there. Already have it calculated before it comes up on the screen. So this is Yuna Kim from California. She trains with Dwangale USA under Master Songjae Lee. So her teammate Yuri Kim came out a bit ago and ended up with some really high scores, ended up like a 7.7.
She competes in female cadet team. Recently competed at the AAU national team trials they had online. And she was the team alternate this year, I think, for the national team.
So she gets 7.57. That's a really good score. So a lot of these online tournaments are great, venues for athletes to be able to get a lot of experience, right, in this kind of online form, so they know what works and what doesn't work on screen. But we really want to make sure that we're also focusing on competing in tournaments that get you some points, right? Because if you're looking to make the U.S. team, you need to make sure you're coming to our USAT sanctioned events that have points associated with them.
Right. And then as, this is a really talented division, so maybe there's not a dominant athlete. So if you win a major tournament, then you get to be put on the U.S. team roster. And to be a dominant athlete, you win 3 major events. But I don't know, how many major events we'll have for the national team in 2021. We don't know a lot of things. So winning any of them gets you on that team roster. And there's not going to be any more open team trials. So the roster is really important moving forward into next year.
Right. She gets a 7.43 following that 7.57. So she should hopefully be safe with a score of 7.5 for sure. So up next we have Michaela Jung from California. She trains at Eagles Taekwondo with Master Jung Jin.
시작.
Right. So the plan is for in 2021 for us to be able to, really look at our pathways and be able to create a lot of opportunities for our athletes to develop through camps and other events with our national team coaches, give them all the opportunity they need to be strong as a member of the 2021 team.
바로
So we've never had a pathways before that included a lot of developmental pipeline kind of activity. So this is going to be our first year, 2021. Wow, 7.8 for Michaela Jung. These scores are just going nuts. Do you think we're going to hit an 8 today, Michaela?
We might. We have 3 more after Michaela goes. They're all very talented, although that would be a big jump. So I'll be very excited if we do.
But a big jump was 7.8. That was huge.
That's true. We have had only a couple of 7.7s. So 7, 8, biggest score so far, just 3 more. So she came in 4th place, or seeded 4th, I should say. And right now boosting herself into 1st place so far with that first score. Nice power and clean finish. Those tiger stances just a tad long.
Right, good height on that first kick going to the rear. Not quite as high on the second. Oh, is she gonna hit her mark, Miyako? Look at that.
Right on the line.
According to Miyako Yerick, that's not possible.
What? It's not possible on number 1. That's impossible.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh my goodness, 7.8. Wow, 2 in a row.
That's a great 2 performance round for Michaela.
Right, now in the 1st place. Up next, we have Leora Aliosa from South Carolina. She trains at Master Kim's World Class Taekwondo under Master Jun Kyu Kim. Wow, look at that.
Taking her time, getting good freezes. Oh, that was interesting. Turn there, a little bend in the leg as she did that 180 pivot. But nice low to the ground. This is like a different kind of style, but I liked it.
Really low. I like it. Very smooth. And she looks, I don't know, she moves older than her years. I guess I'll say it like that. She's just nice high 7.57. Just her whole core, her center, her expression, just she seems like she's in her 20s. I mean that in a nice way.
Yeah, it's like you have, twice your experience.
Right. Very mature. Body's like really well controlled. Back leg could be a little straighter. Like you said, that could be the pant leg, but could be a little bit more locked in.
Yeah, just a little bit bend on some of those front stances, maybe. But outside of Taekwondo, just I want to mention, because this is cool, Leora does coding and robotics at just 12 years old.
Wow, nice back stances. I'll give her that. She's got a really nice kind of low to the ground, smooth look. So she had a 7.57 for that first Poomsae Taekwondo Sajang, and now for Taekwondo Paul Jung 7.7. So look at that, nice boost
Nice
up.
jump.
I don't know anybody's had that big of a bump.
Yeah.
Ends up with a 7.633. Here's our standings for now. We still have 2 athletes to go. So here we go with new leaders here. Michaela Jung in first, followed by Naomi Oh, Yuri Kim, Alana Heinrichs, Leora Aldioso, and Ahana Mochandani, who was, just before this in first place with a 7.567. That was a great score. Now we're all the way up to 7.8.
Yeah, and here we go, top 24, 7.3 and higher for 24 athletes. It's just really impressive. Again, we're looking for the top 31, so we're going to be really close here Just 2 more athletes to go.
Right. We have to look at those people in those spots, right? Number 30 and 31, Chloe Tan and Mueller Chimid, because they may be in jeopardy. We have 2 more athletes to go.
Right. That's right. So I think the cutoff 7.2, right around there, because we're going to have 2 more athletes to go. And there's a tie at 7.2. There's a tie at 7.25.
Wow.
Yeah, so presentation is really important. Of course, when there's a tie, then the score goes to the presentation. Whoever has the higher presentation of the 2 or 3 scores will take that higher spot. So you can see there in the white, if there's a tie, the white score is the presentation score. And we're just so close, like we mentioned, these are the top or first 60 athletes, and we have the last 2 to go here, Juliana and Lana, to finish out this first episode, the Cadet Female Black Belt prelim round of the 2020 Poomsae Online Grand Slam.
So the first of the last 2 competitors we have, Juliana Candelaria from Illinois, training with Apex Tiger Martial Arts in New Jersey. So she's training under Master Giduk Gun. Nice big reach on those kicks.
Wow.
Wow.
And these names are all familiar. You know, I think they go back and forth, round to round, tournament to tournament. Juliana here is ranked 2nd coming into the tournament, but she was a gold medalist at the Grand Slam in January in Colorado. So we'll see what happens here, our last couple of athletes in this prelim round.
Well, look at this. Oh, wow. 7.9. 7.9 for Juliana Candelaria. Wow. She's got to be just tickled. That's a great score. And starting here, real strong in Paul Jung as well. Got to wonder if she's going to get an even higher score in this Poomsae, just like a few of our most recent athletes have.
Yes, a really interesting fun fact here for Juliana is that she does gymnastics, which isn't that new now with freestyle, but she also does Krav Maga at just 12 years old. She's a very intense martial art, but her front kicks are just at her face. How is she not hitting? I feel like she's kicking behind her head.
Almost like she's hitting her mouth with her knee. Like, how is that even like physically possible to get your knee that close to your mouth? How is that happening?
We don't know what that's like. That's just absolutely amazing. 7.9 on Juliana's first form. Here we go, second form.
What are you thinking? Oh, another one, 7.9. I think she might be in first place.
She's definitely into first place, but we're not done. We have one last athlete to go for this round.
And what a challenge for her, Lana Moraleda from California, Dewangale, USA. Probably everybody with Dewangale is watching, just glued to their seat. She's coached by Master Sanjay Lee and Rosalind Lee. Really nice extension on these kicks. And look at the confidence in her expression. That matters.
Nice long limbs, let her have nice extension, both arms and legs. They're really great performance here. First form, again, Juliana Candelaria just had 7.9s on both forms. So
7.73. So not quite as high. You know, we're always looking for more and better and higher, but that was a really good performance. I really like her posture. She's a very upright, kind of just looking very clean.
Yeah, and she does ballet, so hopefully, you know, the two complement each other. The flexibility, the strength and control, the precision, I think really carry over between the two sports.
That punch, last punch to the front, to the camera, a little bit off center. So our athletes have to really watch out for that. See what I mean about her vertical posture? It looks really nice.
Yeah, that torso is just very straight, very clean. There's no extra motion. Nice, clean finishes. I do think Juliana pops a lot on her moves, but Lana's just super consistent, grounded, strong, clean, flexible. So I do think this is going to be a great fight in the later rounds, and she jumps her score up here with a 7.8.
I think she's going to have to turn up her upper body power in order for her to take it, but she got a 7.767. Nice high score, and here are the final standings. So we're looking for the top 31 again. Juliana then just snagged that first top spot from Michaela Zhang. In third place, Lana Moraleda, who just went up, and then Naomi O, Yuri Kim, Alana Heinrichs, Leora Aliosa, Ahana Mochandani, who was holding it for such a long time, that first place spot, and then Alyssa Shin. And then here are the rest of the 62 athletes in this Cadet Female preliminary round. So we'll see those top 31 in the semifinals on an upcoming episode. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hey, Miyako, wasn't that a great episode?
This was so great. So we're kicking off the Junior and the Cadet Grand Slam now. Our first episode was the Cadet Female Prelim Round, 62 athletes. And I really just feel like they all did such a good job. Everybody should be really proud of how they did. We're taking the top 31 athletes into the semis. But tomorrow we're going to be back again with the female junior division.
Right, that should be really fantastic, exciting action. So we hope to see you back here. Until then, make sure you get a full night's rest, plenty of snacks in the fridge before we see you again next, and make sure you call everybody you know so that they can tune in along with you. So thanks, Miyako, for joining me. Thanks to Jose Villapando behind the scenes. You never get to see him, but one day we'll pull him out so you can really, get a good look at him at least one time in maybe this Grand Slam. But till we see you tomorrow night, be safe. And Miyako's, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys all week long. Make sure you're tuning in. We're going to get through the prelims, into the semis, and into the finals. This is very exciting. Our first 16.0 tournament for the cadets and juniors. I can't wait for the rest of the rounds. We'll see you all tomorrow.